And Yi Li, thank you for your question. Oh boy, that is a very difficult situation. And in fact, that was already going on before coronavirus. And like every addiction, it works chemically in the brain in the same way as every other substance addiction. I have to say that in fairness to your son, a child of 7 cannot be expected to have all of the willpower and the self-discipline nowhere near that an adult would have when it's time for us to let go of one of our addictions. Like the first thing that your son needs from you is to have all of your understanding of emotionally what that's like for him. He might be missing the love of his friends and playtime directly with his friends. Let him know you really understand why it hurts to let go of the screen sometimes. Then he will feel like you're on his side. He'll trust you more. He'll want to collaborate with you a little bit more. So you begin with the understanding. The next part is that I want you to tell him very simple terms, in simple terms and with emotional honesty, why you are afraid. It's important that he know you're not just being fastidious or authoritarian. There's a good reason why you will take charge as the adult, because he's not old enough to have the strength to resist. You are taking charge, you are the leader, but be a democratic leader. Ask him if he has good ideas. So make an agreement that he feels by having participated in the conversation, he can take ownership of that agreement. Here's another thing to help, and this works with all addictions. It's important to not just think of giving up the addiction. That's too scary and leaves you too empty. Think of replacing it. When you bring one of these healthy things, interaction, nature, creativity, physicality, it can become, there's a lovely moment where they get so lost in it, so absorbed that they don't want to stop, and they'll forget their screen, forget to even think about it. Our idea of what is right and wrong won't go deep enough to really motivate the genuinely good behavior, because that's conceptual morality. It's philosophy. It happens in the head. So if you want to find that really strong motivational core, it's about reaching for your child's empathy. How do you reach for that? When your child does something that feels hurtful to you or to somebody else, do you feel perhaps annoyed, a little angry? Connect with the emotion first, and then, so that your child can really feel you, let at least a little bit of your emotion show. Without being frightening and overwhelming to your child, remembering your child is very little and very vulnerable compared to you. But let some of the emotion show in your voice, in your face, and make a very clear statement. When we show to our children how to say sorry in a heartfelt way and how to receive sorry in a heartfelt way, that's how they learn it really deeply. So I think you're right in saying that it is overused, even though that might be well meant as our attempt to try to give them more self-confidence and self-esteem. They end up feeling like a very powerful pressure of expectation that they must please so much. It makes them even more scared of making the mistakes that are so necessary. The only way to learn something is by being comfortable and making many, many mistakes. Also, then they become increasingly addicted. If your daughter is feeling very unconfident and that is causing her to be very inhibited with trying new things, and there are two ways to help her. Make an I statement about how you feel when you see her do her thing. So instead of making all of your comments about her and how great she is, talk about what's in your heart. Here's part 2. It is so very important, so very, very, very important that we help our children not to be afraid, not to be ashamed. Here's what happens when you're not afraid and ashamed of all the things that you're not very good at, then you have freedom to just enjoy and improve on the things that you are naturally good at in this world. You role model that for your child. When you can laugh about what you're not good at and yet feel proud of what you are good at right in front of your child, then this will help your child with her fear to go forward and learn and perform. Really the best way for us as parents to understand our children's needs and to know how best to meet those needs as much as we possibly can is to spend a little bit of time recalling, remembering, asking ourselves, maybe even closing our eyes for a few minutes and remembering what was life like for me when I was 5 years old, 6 years old, 7 years old? What were my deepest longings? What was it that made my heart feel good? What helped me to feel good about myself? What brought me joy when I was that age? Also, the negative experiences that we had in that age group. What was it that hurt the worst? When I was 5, when I was 6, when I was 7. Really pause, go inside and remember that, because that gives you your greatest source of intuition and wisdom, okay, about how to meet our children's developmental needs. At that age, a child's tantrums can still be very uncontrolled. But the love, the affection in a child of that age is also incredibly powerful. Because their emotionality is so unrestrained and in many ways beautiful, that's what makes them so fragile and sensitive to shaming and punishment. So it presents a challenge for us as parents. How do we allow our children's emotionality and give them behavioral boundaries, asserting behavioral boundaries when they invade somebody, when they hurt somebody. So what they need to hear from us is, and please remember this from your own childhood, you needed exactly the same. They need for us, the elders, to say, it's okay that you feel angry. It's okay that you really want something. And it's okay that you love with so much passion. That's okay. It's okay that you feel sad. It's okay to feel afraid. I will listen to you. Okay? Us listening to them and letting them feel is incredibly healing and most empowering. However, if your behavior from your emotions, if you're angry and you hit somebody, or say very, very mean things to me or to someone else, that's not okay. Not okay. And I will step in and say stop and say no. At that age, children are almost excruciatingly sensitive to shame. When something goes wrong for them, they're very prone to feeling ashamed, telling themselves that there must be something wrong with me. That's why things didn't work out for me today. There's something wrong with me. If on top of that, parents or teachers say, you're a bad boy, you're a bad girl, so instead of saying stop, we say you're bad, that goes in like an arrow. It goes in like a knife. And the memory of the shame stays. Until there's some healing, that could stay for life. That's what inhibits people a lot in performance, in creativity, and in close, intimate relationships. Okay? So protecting our children from shame, allowing the emotion, strong boundaries, of behavior. Most children, if not all, but the great majority of children start to discover the pleasure in their bodies, and part of that is the pleasure in their genitals. And you will see, and you'll probably remember from your own childhood, that they become almost obsessed with touching themselves and touching their genitals and wanting to show their bodies to everybody. And it brings a very innocent and a very joyful delight in their life. And this, in most modern cultures, brings a very big challenge for parents, because we are afraid that the society will punish and shame the child. We're ashamed that the child will embarrass us or embarrass somebody else. If people have shamed us for our sexuality, then there's a tendency that we shame our children and tell them that's dirty or bad or etc. The other danger is that sometimes there are people in the world that misinterpret that behavior from children and exploit that in little children, which is always a completely awful and wounding thing. So we become very protective, and for good reason. So here's the delicate, fine line for us to walk as parents, and I know that this is a big challenge for all of us. To teach our children about privacy. To let them know this is okay, enjoy your body, but this is something that we all do in our own private space, okay? Because society does not welcome our nakedness. It does not welcome, it's not okay in the world. Some things are private, okay? Our relationship with ourselves, our friendship with ourselves. Much later, when we fall in love, much later in life, and that's a time to begin to share our physicality, our physical passion, the pleasure and the joy of physical passion, sensuality, sexuality, to share that intimately and also privately with another human being that we love, and respectfully. Okay, so not to shame them, but not to give excess attention to that either, and to just say some kind words about privacy. That will make an enormous difference in your child's life, that they grow up secure, not ashamed of their bodies, but respectful of boundary and self-respectful as well. So many problems with intimacy for couples later in life. Difficult problems, painful problems, problems that can even lead to the breakup of marital relationships and partnerships. So many of those problems spring from wounding, from shaming or exploitation or abuses that happen in this time of life. So there's a great opportunity for mums and dads to be that protective and to really set our children up for healthy relationships for later on. Play is how animals, and human animal as well, that is how evolution has prepared us to learn everything that we need to learn so that we can be strong contributors and creative contributors to our society, because we are primarily social beings. We were designed to be. So to protect the playfulness of the child and really support it and allow it, the passionate playfulness, how imaginative they are. And this is a time of life that imagination really comes through. That is so essential for human beings. It makes us happy. It also makes us very powerful in terms of the careers that we choose later on in life, how we learn in school, how we study, and how we innovate, how we design brilliant solutions to the ongoing problems that we always face living on the planet. Protect the playfulness. The energy of playfulness is much more powerful than the energy of obligation or fear or of shame that happens in a lot of schools around the world, that we force children to learn. And we give them very scary, very demanding, high pressure exams and tests. That's how they lose, very tragically, the impulse. They lose the connection with playfulness. And playfulness isn't just ha 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 and laughter. Some kinds of play are very serious, very focused. We are the most productive, and our ability to learn and retain information and form strong memory archives happens when we peacefully play at our learning. So this playful impulse is very important. Free play, but playful learning as well. Playful approaches to learning all of the things they want to learn. When a child follows their interest, there's a magic to that. In the pursuit of their natural interest, and remember that all children are born to have different interests. And if we help our children to follow their internal passion, they will choose a vocation and they will work so hard for it without somebody having to push. Okay? Love is more powerful than fear and obligation when it comes to learning in the classroom, at university, in college. It also means that prepares them to be the happiest people, because if you choose a line of work that you are passionate about, that you love, that means that you will endure even the difficult days much better than anyone else. And it will protect you from the depression that so many adults feel when they feel trapped in a career, in a job that they have no love for. We don't want that for our children. So ask them, what do you love? What do you love to learn? What do you love to do? As much as you can, make that available for them and challenge them. Okay? Ask them, how might you do that better? If whatever it is, learning to ride a bicycle or building something with blocks or drawing, what's the next thing that you might be able to learn about it, so it will be even more exciting. Okay? Remember the principle of playful learning. And I think with all of that together, if you remember that those are the things that you needed when you were 5, 6, and 7, it becomes more natural and easy to commit to passing that on to your children. And you will see that when their emotionality is supported, when they are listened to and given strong boundaries of behavior and supported in their playfulness, their playful learning, they are so much happier. They become so much more respectful of each other and of you, and they grow towards being more collaborative as well.